So the biggest disconnect in all of business is the difference between what the entrepreneur wants to say and what the investor wants to hear. If you could make that connection, you could at least make the investor see your vision. They may not share it, but you need to at least make them see it. And there's a great story that illustrates exactly how to do this. God said to Noah, there's going to be a flood. I need you to make an ark, make it 300 cubits long, make it 50 cubits high, make it 40 cubits wide. And Noah fell to his knees and said, yes, Lord, I will. I have just one question of you. What's a cubit? The disconnect there is, in business terms, if you look at God as the entrepreneur and Noah as the venture capitalist, because obviously in no universe is God a venture capitalist. The disconnect occurred because the entrepreneur was talking about execution of the business plan, and the investor wanted to hear about the market need. In business terms, that's very clear. The entrepreneur talked about what she or he wanted to talk about, but not what the investor wanted to hear. In business terms, again, you need for, you as the entrepreneur need to be able to educate the investor. So in starting, the entrepreneur might say, there's going to be a flood. It's going to wipe out all of the earth. Slide 2, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Here's my resume. I'm God. I created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. I gave everyone free will. I presided over the initiative of original sin. So when I say there's going to be a flood, now I have some data behind that. That, in business terms, that is explaining what the market need is. By educating your investor, you have started to connect with them. The last point we have on this says, have no fear. And what that means to an entrepreneur is this. First, don't have fear of being criticized, because you need to be able to listen and assimilate everybody else's suggestions. So one investor might stand up and say, you know, I love the whole idea, okay? I think it's going to work. I love the ark. But, you know, you're going to have labor costs. You have union issues. It's made out of cypress wood. It's covered with pitch. I'm worried about environmental. I'm wondering if maybe, do we do this offshore? Do we do it in the Far East? Having no fear means being able to hear those kinds of comments and being able to actually work them in and maybe listen to some of them. But the other part of having no fear, and all of us have seen entrepreneurs do this, is when the other investor stands up and says, you know, and this you always hear them say, okay, I assume the science works, okay? I assume the ark's going to float. I assume it's enough to carry all the beasts of burden and everything in the earth. I just don't buy that there's a flood. I don't buy that that's going to happen. Now, first of all, that is not a failure on the part of the entrepreneur. That's the entrepreneur has made the investor see the vision. The investor just doesn't share it, which is fine. But what the entrepreneur invariably does when the investor says, I'm sorry, I don't think there's going to be a flood. I don't see your market need. The entrepreneur says, well, you know, there's lots of different apps for this ark. That's not the only application. We don't have to use it to save all of mankind. We have casino gambling now in New York State. We could use it for that. We can use it for low-income housing and get tax credits. That is succumbing to the fear of not being confident in your business plan. You have to have no fear about the fact that you have a vision and you're making people share that vision. And you have confidence in your instincts. You're the entrepreneur. You're the one who's talking. They're the ones who are listening. You have to be brave about that. So connect, educate, and have no fear. Thank you.